You're live. Go for it.
Let's do it. Awesome. Welcome everybody to what is a Dallas chapter, but really feels like an everyone chapter because we put it out in the world. But we are trying to spin up a Women in Alliances meeting Dallas chapter, which is how this whole meeting got started, but ended up with an awesome panel. And I'm excited today that everybody's here to learn more about how AI is impacting alliances. So I have a panel of lovely ladies that I'd like to introduce to you all. So we have Doreen Marchetti. Correct any names, let me go ahead and say that. Who has spent 40 years in IT, primarily with the Fortune 500 companies, creating, managing, developing, and selling alliances. That's a lot. Today, she's an advisor and a fractional sales leader in small, innovative companies, creating opportunities for collaboration and partnerships. Doreen is also a partner advocate for WITI and leads the global chapters for Women in Alliances. Welcome. You will be able to say more about yourself in a moment. Jennifer Fonseca, she is based in Austin, so close to Dallas. We see how we roped her in here. She leads Amer Tableau alliances and channel teams at Salesforce. With nearly 3 decades in tech, she brings a wealth of experience to fostering strong partnerships, and her focus on collaboration and innovation has been key to driving success in the partner ecosystem. And last but certainly not least, Elizabeth McCauley. She's the CEO and founder of Start Stack, and is a results-driven executive in strategy and go-to-market with the expertise in bringing in new offerings and services to the market. She has a passion for pioneering new markets through emerging technologies, and in her recent TED Talk, The Human and AI Story Arc, amplified the importance of human-centered work that leverages AI. She brings extensive experience to markets, solution development, marketing, partnerships, and alliances. Thank you all for being here. We're really excited to hear what you have to say. So I'm going to kick it off and pass it over to you to talk a little bit more about yourself and your experience in AI and alliances. Jen?
Starting with me first. Yes, so thanks. Good to see everyone. Happy to be a part of this panel and this topic. So thank you for the invite. Yeah, as you mentioned, I've been with Salesforce 12 years. I've been on the Tableau side, a lot of experience in the direct sales prior to coming to alliances for the last 6 years. But I feel like it's such a huge opportunity for me to be a part of alliances in this age of AI. It's been extremely exciting just to see where the innovation is going, be a part of Salesforce when all of this is taking place. And then, of course, just our amazing partner ecosystems and how we're just working together to figure out how we support our customers as they're also trying to understand, like, what does this mean for us? How do we, tip our toe in there? What does that mean? How do I make it a part of my strategy? How do I not mess things up if I do, take this step forward and put myself at risk? So it's just a really exciting time within the alliances as far as being on the technology side and working with our services and even other technology partners is how we try to support this. So and then that would be I guess that was your question, right? Kind of what my experience is. Yeah. That's where I see what my excitement today for the AI in this topic.
Fantastic. Doreen?
So what you said at the beginning really sums up my 40 years as far as I worked at IBM for most of those years and supported alliances. And I have to tell you, I just love alliances. I mean, what other better opportunity do you have to work with some of your best friends in the community and coming together, thinking about how can you create something that even makes your mutual clients that much more happier, productive, efficient, effective. So to me, being in alliances has been a gift in my life. And I was able to take all that learning from IBM and spend a couple of years at Global Knowledge, which is a very small ed tech company. And we got the opportunity there to create some really fascinating programs. And once again, to build those relationships with partnerships and alliances and drive some really interesting customer solutions. And of course, with AI, I mean, come on, guys. 40 years ago when I started in IT, we didn't even have email. Think about that. So just where we've come from having email, moving to the internet, moving to a cloud, networking, right? All the basic foundational digital era things that we needed now to set us up to have AI. AI to me is just every day of my life. My CEO here at WITI has hit us over the head that if we're not using AI, we're not very smart, because you can use it to help create your mutual contracts. You can use AI to really learn about your partnerships and the alliances, not just what the company strategy is, but also about what their needs are, where they're spending their budgets, and most importantly, you get to learn a little bit about the people. And that, of course, as you're talking to your alliances and your partnerships, it's important to really understand the other person, where they're coming from, and be able to accommodate those kinds of innovative ideas that you want to come together on. So yeah, I love AI, love alliances, and they both begin with A. Hey, that's the A club. I love it.
Cool. So do I. So thank you for the details. Elizabeth, what about you? Tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience with AI and alliances.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation to be here. And I think I would characterize myself as an AI practitioner. I've been in and around emerging technologies my whole career. I did not know Doreen, but I think we're both at IBM in similar timeframes. I was there 15 years and brought new offerings and services to market. Spent a lot of time working with different business models, channels, outsourcing, ISV. There's a whole range of models that are partner type models. After I left IBM, I spent some time at Workday and also Salesforce in partner sales at Salesforce, in fact. And so I've had been spoiled. I've gotten to see a lot of different types of companies, different ways that, companies go to market through channels, quote unquote. And it's really different for all different kinds of companies, depending on what types of software or services you're selling. But one thing that is very common across all of the models, depending on no matter what type of company, is that alliances, channels, just typically under-resourced by double. And so the amount of work that alliances and channels people do is just ridiculous. And so I think this is really where there's an opportunity for AI to help close the gap in alignment around deals, typically people who are working in alliances have multiple stakeholders they service, whether that is a field team or other partners, and being able to talk and communicate effectively across all those channels can be very difficult. And so I think that the application of AI in go-to-market processes and just up-leveling, one, the information to the skill, and three, alignment, which is, helps people save time and money in terms of focusing on the right deals, the right time. That's where I really think is a huge advantage in any type of partner alliances kind of role.
Fantastic. Well, thank you all. I should probably introduce myself. I didn't even really think about that. I just want to make sure you all know these ladies. I'm Andrea Allen. I am the VP of Alliances at Argonaut, and we have a number of partnerships that we value each day and try to grow and do all the things. So I'm excited about how AI can help us do that, and the future of it. Quite honestly, we were joking on the prep call about what AI, this conversation in a year, 2 years, 3 years is going to be probably very obsolete because of the changes that are happening so quickly. So it'll be fun to see. But let's jump into some more questions. So I'm going to ask you all one more of the same question, then I'll get a little bit deeper for each of you. But what are some of the key benefits that you're seeing and how the landscape is transforming from those benefits of AI? Elizabeth, I'll go backwards now this time.
You touched on, I believe that people do work, humans do work, AI is part of our process. When I hear AI, humans in the loop, I don't agree with that at all. It implies that, humans are sort of bystanding to a machine that's working. And so that's an important kind of mindset to get into, that humans do work, we're experts and we're business professionals, know exactly what we're doing. And AI really helps us up level our skill and able to tap into different types of knowledge at any point in time, provided we know how to drive the model. And so this is where I think a lot of practice and creativity and understanding how AI works. It's not a question and answer system. People that play, people like to experiment, people are creative, really, you see their knowledge and embracing AI is easier. People that tend to be very rules oriented, very math focused, very, structured. I just encourage people to play and to really experiment and always do human validation steps. You're working with a partner that may lie to you. And typically, if you're, dealing with hallucinations, it's usually on the driver to get better at how to engage the model. So I've had a really good time kind of learning and working with these systems over the last, I guess 18 months or so. And we have been able to do a really high degree of work and value, helping people drive down their pay-per-click costs like 2,800% in a week.
Wow.
Being able to engage teams and drive unique user traffic. For one of our clients that's in the DocuSign ecosystem, and we brought several new offerings to market in less than a couple of months. So the amount of work that is possible is shocking.
I definitely appreciate it helping me for sure, for sure. So I agree with that. Doreen, can you let us know a little bit about what benefits you're seeing?
Yeah, and I think I'm just going to follow up on Elizabeth there. I think, the whole risk management, having access to all the systems and models, being able to do that deeper search, I think it really helps when you're trying to build partnerships, especially new partnerships that you may be not as familiar with certain companies. To really dive deeper and understand the dynamics of where that company's been, where they're going. And I think it really helps for you to also then formulate where the key strategies are that you can and work together and be more successful. And I think having that access to that data really can help you to mitigate some of the poor partnerships that we've all seen in our careers, and be able to maybe get beyond that and come up with better strategies and maybe pick better partners to begin with. So I think risk management is a huge component of how AI can help us as we're working on our alliances.
I think it also goes the other way too, right? If you're a new technology emerging in the space, wanting more partners to be a part of your ecosystem to really help build out some of the, really basic steps that you can have when you're starting those partnerships. I've run across quite a few of those that sometimes I'm like, wait, you don't even have a contract? Because that seems like step one, right? And so some of those things can help and elevate those partnerships faster. Is there anything we didn't cover, Jen?
I mean, those are all great ones. And I mean, I think, like Elizabeth was saying, just, as far as scaling alliances and using it to, help us scale and the tactical stuff. The other one for me is just the sheer amount of data, right, that is being consumed for AI and or helping companies leverage AI within their applications. And so a lot of it is like what Elizabeth was talking about, hallucinations, right? And so just making sure that there is that infrastructure or a trusted partner that's supporting you. And that's why, as a technology company, we're so vested in having that ecosystem that can support us there, because, it's one thing for our customers to lean into the technology because one of our core values is trust, but ultimately they need, right, that support there. And that's why our partner alliances is so important for us in helping those customers to deploy it in a way that they can capitalize on the technology, but also do the whole change management and do the training and enablement. So we're just seeing more and more that it's, critical for us to have that ecosystem to support us in how we go to market.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I'm back to you, Jen, because you're in that order.
Right. Okay.
Can you provide some real world examples of how AI is helping improve collaboration within alliances as you've been a part of it?
Yeah, I mean, kind of what we just talked about, but like from a personal note, it's even, let's go back to the tactical. I don't know if anyone's experienced the note taking, if anyone's had that experience, but even just the tactical, when you're collaborating with a partner or even multiple partners, right? You have these amazing meetings and you walk away sometimes and you're like, okay, we all talked about some great things, but who owns what and where are the action items and what does that look like? And potentially there's one person that's scribing the whole time or typing the whole time, which is a terrible experience for that meeting member. So there are applications, right, that can then capture the notes and then you have it all summarized for everybody. Same thing with the collaboration tools like in Slack. So there's great ways for us to collaborate together and summarize with, Einstein Copilot within Slack. The other one would be we're seeing just a real lean in with our partners on just the analytics, right? So I'm on the analytics side of the house. And so we're doing AI-powered analytics with Pulse. But you can't just, it's not like a light switch. So we partners are really helping us go to market there because we've had struggles just, customers see the excitement. They want to have the power of AI analytics in their hand, which is Tableau Pulse, which is great because it summarizes, their KPIs right away. And it's something that's like easy, tactical, consumable. It has a lot of excitement around it, but then getting it to market and helping those customers, get from A to B, that's where our partner ecosystem comes in. So even just doing the change management or even just the activation, showing the art of what's possible. So that's where we've seen our partners really, show up for us. And that's why it's so important, I think, on, how we go to market is with our partners, because we couldn't do it by ourselves. Like we all said, we love alliances because we know that's how we scale. And we do bigger and better things together, right? So that 1 + 1 = 3.
I love it. And I love that always as it pertains to partnerships because it's so, so true.
So
Elizabeth, go ahead.
WITI has a think tank for AI twice a week. And when I have the luxury of time, I do jump on because I'm always learning so many new things. And one of the tools that I happened to catch a couple weeks ago was called Crystal Knows. And I was thinking about all the time that I was working with different partnerships and alliances. And, it's not just working with the leadership team, but you're working across all the stakeholders of the company. And of course, you have many different personalities and many different strategies that each of those people have. So I think that was one of the tools that I love because one of the partners I was working with, I wanted to go down to, the lower levels of the sales, for example, just understanding what was on their top of minds and how best to work with them. And it really gave some incredible feedback on the kinds of questions and kind of conversations you ought to have. And I was thinking, boy, I could have used that many years ago, many times when you're on the street working with reps from different partnerships, trying to put together a solution for a client. And sometimes it's not just 2 partners, right? You have 3 or 4, depending on the actual product and services. So I think that was one of the tools I think is very valuable for alliances and partnerships.
Was it called Crystal Notes, you said?
Crystal Notes, yeah, it's a lot of fun. Do it on yourself.
I'm check it out for sure.
You just made me remember a story where we, this was even, I'd say almost over a year ago, where a partner would always have field conversations, right? So it's, even just down to an account-based level. So a seller within our companies talking to a seller at a partner. And so they're, creating a strategy and account strategy, how they can go to market and support that customer. And so they would always invite their note that. So and that was an application. I don't remember if it was Crystal Reports though, Doreen, but they would have their application and then they would share the notes with our sellers, right? Here's the outcomes, here's the strategies down to, and even when customer meetings. So a lot of our sellers really appreciated working with that specific partner because of that technology and how they showed up, right, with the simplification of summarizing their meetings. So yeah.
That's awesome. I love it. Thanks for the tip. Elizabeth, tell me maybe some challenges you've seen faced while integrating AI into alliance strategy, and how did your customer or client overcome that?
Yeah, I think this is just kind of a maybe broader than alliances. Maybe it's a go-to-market statement. So I don't know if others have experienced this, but people that are what we call AI natives, they're living and breathing, they're working in AI, and then there's maybe others that aren't quite as far along. There can become this asymmetry in how people work. And so the AI natives are able to produce a lot of work very quickly, and people that are consuming it can't consume it fast enough. And so it's almost like a reading the room of making sure you're not getting too far ahead and kind of overdoing how much work. It's a weird thing that's kind of happening. And I think that there's just a bit of experience there in figuring out where is the other company on the spectrum of embracing this capability and how are they using it, to kind of make sure that you're, in line and in balance and bringing them value too. And that's the other thing that's a very important just observation. Sometimes in co-marketing dollars are very scarce. But if a partner is bringing to the table a draft, then that marketing team, whether on the software company or in the services company, they're like, hey, we've got something to work with. This doesn't feel like we can't do it. Feels like, we've got a place to start. And I've observed that that's been very valuable, is to bring a very well-informed draft to the table, 80% done. Usually it's easy to bring people along when a lot of the work is there. So, a bit of, reading the room and a bit of bringing a really well-crafted draft to the table usually helps things along.
I love that. And I wish everybody was that organized to be prepared for that, right? Because sometimes it just feels like everybody's like, this is a good idea, let's go, instead of really doing what you're saying, planning it out and strategically being, kind of smart around it.
Well, it's a good point, because people don't have a shortage of work. There's only work, and it's always too much work, and particularly in alliances when it's the most under-resourced area of entire company usually. So sometimes taking a step back, going slow to go fast, what's my frameworks? How do I do something in a very repeatable way? And to be critically examining the process for, how you engage a partner or a field sales team or whatever, that you can do it over and over again. You can pretty much systematize the work if you can think about it in a proactive way. If you can explain the process, you can do it over and over again.
Absolutely. Doreen, did you have something to add?
I think our future generations, because they're going to be raised with this, I think it's going to be part of that formula for every day. I know even for my one son who's in sales at 25 years old, and he uses artificial intelligence every single day to help create what strategies he has for his clients, as well as organizing when he does go to visit them, having that agenda thoughtfully put out. So I think the younger generations, it's just part of their everyday, where I don't know, it's gonna be really exciting to watch where this goes next.
Well, on that, since you have been in alliances for quite some time and you've seen a lot of changes, how do you see AI changing our existing landscape comparatively to the things that we've seen in the past?
Everything. I mean, I like I mentioned at the beginning, I think back and I go, how did we ever drive around without GPS? I just don't know how I made it to the baseball fields around the state of New Jersey. I just think that, artificial intelligence and the whole fact that you have so much data available to you. You just have to be mindful, thoughtful, and definitely double check everything and put the mind behind it. It's going to change everything. I mean, we, don't forget we didn't have mobile phones either when we first started. How the heck did we live without a mobile phone? So I just see, I hope I'm around to see my sons 40 years from now, so I can see what their careers have taken them and how much artificial intelligence has changed what they have done. I think it changes everything. I think that people just have to be mindful. And I think Jennifer, you mentioned it before, upskilling, making sure that you're staying on top, don't get behind, and play with it, as you said, Elizabeth. Don't be afraid of it. Make it a part of your day-to-day. And I think it changes, like I said, everything. I mean, I'm looking right now at my phone. How did I do this 20 years ago?
I remember that GPS comment, being lost in the middle of Texas, thinking, why do I not, how am I doing this? Why do I not have GPS on my phone? Turns out just a few years later, it was about to happen.
And even, back in the day when we didn't have even internet to look up anything, right? So I think that where we are today is just tip of the iceberg. There's so much more we're all going to learn. We all know that. And it's just a matter of individuals embracing it and learning
Absolutely.
it and comfortable with it.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask this question to everybody and then we'll open it up to the audience. I would love to know what advice you would give to organizations looking to integrate AI into their alliance strategy. Elizabeth, I'll start with you.
I don't know, I'm in a position to give advice to anybody.
Well, you want to do like a forward-looking statement or?
I guess I know organizations want to be very cautious, but also consider that there are so many small companies who are, running out the future, making things up, and the way that they're able to do work is just different. And they work different, they think different, they're very scrappy. And so I guess there's a lot of large companies that are, making the shift, and a lot of large companies that just aren't because of governance and process and rules and all this. And I think that while that probably is an instinct that most large companies have for probably really good reasons, we'll see a next generation of companies that are AI natives, very much like the cloud natives. Salesforce was a cloud native 20 years ago, right? We have a new generation of companies that are AI natives that are just operate differently. And so I feel very hopeful about that. And I think it's something to just really pay attention for kind of companies we call pufferfish companies. They can look bigger than their actual size. Their revenue to employee ratio is very different, and they just behave differently.
Interesting.
Elizabeth, I saw a quote today, and it was in an AI conversation that was here, but it's not the big that eat the small, it's the fast that eat the slow, which is what you're talking about. So yeah, just take a step forward, right? Don't be afraid.
Yeah, and from a strategy perspective, I think it's very difficult for large companies to figure out who's actually a competitor, because there's so many more companies out there. So, 15 years ago, people look at Salesforce, and it's like, well, we've got all these companies, and Salesforce and ServiceNow are the kind of the ones to pay attention to. Now there's thousands of companies, and everybody's got their capability. Ecosystems are very common, how companies go to market now, with a lot of the software that helps figure out what those logical patterns are in the market. I think it's going to be very difficult for large companies to figure out who is actually my competitor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds good. I mean, right on the money there. Jen, what about you?
I mean, I think it's kind of like what Elizabeth said, right? It's like, I think first you start with what are the objectives of my organization, whether you're a big organization, small organization, or even a team within an organization, right? Like, what are our objectives? What are we trying to accomplish with AI, right? So are we trying to, solve for, more scale with our work, what we're doing? Are we trying to make better decisions with AI? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? And start there, and then you can build out from there with, how you're going to approach it, but at least take one step. And then I think we've all said, just lean in, don't prioritize enablement, prioritize the education around it for not only yourself, but your team. I think knowledge is power. So just, you always hear that statement for a reason. So just lean in, make the time, right? And I think that's one of the things that, even we've all been saying, there's so much work. And so you actually have to make it a priority and have that deep work we always talk about that's hard to find on your calendar. So find or prioritize that for you and your organization, and make sure that it's, on your calendar, it actually gets done, set goals around it, and just lean in. And then I think ultimately, once you start taking a step, the steps will get easier and faster.
Fantastic. Doreen, you have any advice for us?
I was going to say, I would just encourage organizations to be open-minded and to think of new ways of collaborating. I think that this allows us to see different companies in a different line of sight. And I think that we have to be much more open to different ways of going to market and coming up with different solutions for our customers. And it's not just, one or two, it's a family, it's a community that you're building. And so I think it's being very open-minded. Of course, being careful with the risks and making sure that you're, doing all the due diligence on your decision making, but be a little bit more creative, be open.
I like it. I like everything I've heard, ladies. Good job. David, does anybody have any questions in the chat?
Had some pretty good comments in the chat.
Oh, I didn't even look at those. Sorry.
Security of AI is a huge factor. Ecosystems are key, according to Nicole. Thank you for that, Nicole. And Kristen says that AI is an application for public entities trying to collaborate with residents. That's true too. Taking it on B2C and local businesses, ecosystems too. She can assist with investment attraction. international business sites. Thanks for calling on that, Kristen. Appreciate those comments.
And Kristen, I will definitely connect with you.
Absolutely. I'm super, y'all, I'm so in awe. Y'all are so my mentors. I'm starting y'all are so my mentors and your thought leaders in the technology industry. And I'm a change manager person. So I do change management and business transformation and digital AI work. So I'm so in awe. And the thing that I always tell people is it's really hard to invest in privacy protection issues from a pilot test perspective with AI. It really is tough. A lot of people, a lot of companies are really afraid, oh, I'm going to risk sharing my data or my employee information. But the one place you can easily play as a point of entry for AI is analysis and analytics work. So talking to the Prisco EDC and going in there and talking to their international director and their innovation director about how to use AI to fill out RFIs for site selection with India and with Eastern Europe, where they're targeting their markets. And even in dialogues with like Air India to try to get nonstop flights and things, AI can really help if you have the right inputs and you're asking for specific outputs of how to frame your analysis or your presentations really well with third-party customers or clients. And it's a lot easier of a sell to companies than I'm going to recap meetings or I'm going to use internal communications and dialogue to do something. So looking external on research is a really great way to get companies to start looking at AI as a competitive advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. Thank you for your insight.
Are there any other comments before we go into a breakout?
Well, we're going to go into breakout so you can get to know each other. But also, if you need a question that you want to answer, you can just talk about how you foresee the role of AI in alliances evolving in the next, I have 5 years, but that feels real long. Next year, 2, 3.
About months.
Oh, yeah, exactly. In the future.
It all depends on the election, right?
Yeah.
That too.
So now we'll be in breakouts for 10 to 15-ish minutes.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe 12 or 13 minutes, David, and then we'll come back together and share some of our new insights with our new friends.
I love it.
Hey, Rachel. You fell asleep.